Hi everybody, and welcome to the Ecoinvestment update for September 25th, 2016 here on the Rosie Murphy channel, and I'm coming to you from my Class B camper van, a 1988 Ford Dearborn Edition Coachman camper van, and you'll be seeing this in quite a few videos on the Rosie O'Kelly channel, and sometimes featured on some different kind of content on the Rosie Murphy channel here. But let's drill down on the Ecoinvestment update for this week. We've almost survived the month of September, and lo and behold, we did not crash. Seasonally speaking, when the market's going to be weak, it's generally going to be in the fall period, as I've said before. But once again, we've managed to pretty much skate through. We've had some weakness. We've been bouncing around between the 18,100 level and the 18,400 level, but we're holding our ground. And that's a very important concept when it comes to investing. And it's simply this, and a lot of people never wrap their head around this when it comes to investing. A market or a stock that refuses to go lower over time, and I mean significantly lower, is a market or stock that wants to go higher. Seems real simple, doesn't it? Well, to most people, if something goes up to a level that's perceived to be high, they start to get nervous. They start to get fidgety. Well, we got to be very careful. You know, the bottom could drop out of this at any time. But yet, in those situations, the market or the stock continues to hold in a very tight range. It signals to experienced market professionals that it's something that wants to go higher, and it's waiting for the current atmosphere or seasonal expectations to clear away. Last week we had a two-day Fed meeting culminating on Wednesday with no change in interest rate policy. So on the one hand, we have a Fed that talks about interest rate rises, but yet on the other hand, we have a Fed that has no interest in raising interest rates at all. So who to believe in that type of scenario? Believe the market, because the market still sees very few opportunities for putting money to work for any type of meaningful return. Not bonds, not deposits, not long-term annuities, municipal bonds, the bond market. They've all been stripped out of any juice they have to jazz up portfolios. And it's really tough sledding now to make a go of trying to get a decent return on investment, especially if you're an institutional investor. So what's the only game in town? It remains the stock market, and that's where they continue to move into. We had that spike in interest rates up to about 1.7. Well, we're back down to the 1.59% range, and we've just continued to have a very slack sort of economy here, one that doesn't perceptibly go lower and one that doesn't rise up. One interesting attribute of the current environment is that we have a labor market that's starting to become stressed in the way of limited supply to fill demand. And this has been a theme for the last year or two that I've been doing these uploads. And interestingly enough, the number of stores that I go to and businesses that have perpetual help wanted signs out continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. So once again, we have this separated economy where we have a deficit of people willing to work for very low or entry wages, and we have a surplus of people that want to make a great paycheck. You know, in our economy, we can't kick out the upper ones. We can't produce enough of those jobs, but we seem to produce plenty of the lower ones. Thus showing you what's expanding in our economy is really low-end economic endeavors, or things that don't kick out a lot of benefit to those who work within those organizations. Now, what do I mean by that? If you were working for Henry Ford in the 1920s, one of his goals was to set his prices so that his average worker on his plant assembly line would be able to afford one of his vehicles. It was a critical decision that Ford made that really helped him launch mass production of automobiles and get it into Americans' hands in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, that affordability for all. Well, how many people working at say a McDonald's or a Home Depot can reasonably afford to buy a decent new car these days? You can see how stressed people would be on the paychecks they're receiving, $10, $12, $15 an hour, trying to contribute towards family support. You know, we just have this bulk of low-level jobs that really doesn't do anything to grow the economy. All it does is help sustain the economy and keep us at this level where we're really not having any new net wealth creation. And net wealth creation is what creates prosperity. If we don't have that, we don't have the flow of prosperity, the prosperity meter rising up. It just stays down at this very low level. Wrap your head around that a little bit. Go back and replay that and think about that. If you're just being paid, or if the bulk of jobs being created are jobs that are really geared towards just sustaining yourself and not having enough left over of investment capital to maybe feed into an enterprise that potentially offers a good investment, then we don't become any wealthier as a nation. We just survive. And I think that that's the situation that we're in now. It's very difficult to make a dollar, and as a result, it's very difficult to grow our capital investment base and our return on investment. I really don't see that changing anytime soon. I see this continuing pump up of the stock market because it's the only game in town, but yet people know the underlying conditions are, well, they feel weird and they feel strange. So there's the dichotomy. And there's the thing that I said and open with, that just because things seem weird and unbalanced and strange to us in an economic sense, to a market sense, it can make perfect sense, because the market only cares about one thing: the flow of money into something and the flow of money out of it. The market doesn't care to do the analysis of where's the money coming from, and is it good money, or is it honest investment, or is it people chasing a return, a 4% yield on a Pepsi-Cola or a 3% on a Campbell's Soup Company? It doesn't care about that. It's a very simple. The flow is either increasing, stabilizing, or decreasing, and net-wise, we continue to have enough flow in to support this market. Therefore, we don't really go down. Now, of course, could that change in an instant? Absolutely. But at this point in time, given the interest rate environment we're in, it's unlikely to do so. I want to say a word. We were talking about the low-end jobs too. There's kids, young people that have grown up within this economic environment that don't know prosperity. They don't know what it's like to have lived through the boom of the 80s telecommunication, the 80s and 90s telecommunication boom, and then the internet boom of the 90s and 2000s. All they know is maybe gaming and things like that. They've never known a time when money's sort of flush like it was in the Clinton administration. As a result, we're raising a generation of people that prosperity is unknown to. And since prosperity, the taste of that is unknown, we really lack the incentives being given to these people to be more productive in the workforce. In the field I'm in, the medical field, even though we pay $15, $18, $20 an hour, we got young people that just refuse to take those jobs because their free time, their ability to just have enough dollars in their pocket to get by outweighs that drive to have more and more. In other words, we're losing that, we're blunting that human drive, that acquisitive drive for more in our economy, and it's showing up in the job openings on the low end. Of people just don't want to work that hard. One of the other reasons is because our government has been such a supplier of support and enabled people to, well, be unproductive, either through the radical expansion of the disability support program, or the people having a willingness just to get by with low-level jobs. And, well, we see household formations dropping, we see family formations dropping. All these things have been created because, in my mind, because of the things that the Federal Reserve has done and the U.S. government to try to manipulate and create prosperity since it all came apart in 2008. So the thermometer might tell one story, right? But the thermometer can be falsely heated up by things like the Federal Reserve, getting money moving into things like stocks. But the real economy remains lukewarm at best and a little chilly at its worst. So a lot to think about this week in the Eco Investment Update. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and share, and your comments are always welcome. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in a week or two.